Hi there, welcome to another edition of the Illumination Monthly. We're looking at the month of December 2019. Wow, final month of the final year of the decade. So it's a big shift from the teens to the 20s. So quite a shift we're in. And I'm using the Illuminating Journey Cards. I've already prepared them for this month. We have a 15 universal months. So it's a very emotional time we're going through, where we need to go through our feelings and actually feel our feelings, as opposed to blocking them from being expressed and felt and released, because we can't release them unless we feel them. So let's see what the cards have to say. I'm Duchene, and I'm using the Illuminating Journey Cards that I created with the help of the Akashic Records. So card number 1. Well, this card is the Four Soul Portal that has been showing up quite a bit lately, and it is definitely a card of creation. Now, this card was the final card created in the deck, and the power card, because it's the last card, so it has all the energy of all the cards. So I find that very fascinating, because to me, it suggests that we're entering a time of creation, that we need to pay attention to our surroundings, to the earth, to the environment, to the cosmos, to the buildings, to the things we look at and either don't notice or realize how impactful they are, our environment, how we use the things that are in our environment. And in this soul portal, there is this kind of acropolis type thing that's perhaps coming back alive. It's pulling out not just things from that we want to let go of, but also realizing things that have value, that have been created. So just because things are changing doesn't mean that everything has to go. Rather, we choose. And I find it interesting because this image suddenly looks to me as if it's a detective, right? Wearing one of those little detective hats with a light or the fire. So it's sparking this idea of being a detective and kind of looking for clues, looking for the things that stand out to you, perhaps opportunities that are there, that come to you, perhaps things you haven't seen, perhaps looking at things in a new way. There's this idea of being focused on what is there beyond what I've seen, what I've come to expect, what I've assumed is true. So looking beyond that, this kind of energy of moving into the space perhaps that has not been fully expressed or explored. We also have the spacecraft coming down, this energy of the being. It could be you, could be the energy around you, this female figure that's just expanding in this dress of so many layers, so many layers. So a million layers here for us to enter and look at where the light is falling, look at how the truth of the cosmos, the support, the energy behind it is there for us to create something entirely new by looking into the light and looking into the shadow and seeing what there is, being that detective. And red is a very powerful color. It just brings up all our imagination, all our passion to focus it towards something we want to create, that we desire to have in our lives. Card number 2. So this card is Flight. This is one of the tools in the deck. And of course, with all these cards, you get to see what you see in them, even though I'm telling you something. I find it very interesting. We're going from red, and there is some light and yellow, you could say here. You could say this part here is the yellow inside, and even the spaceship. This idea of being in flight. So here we look, here is the spaceship in flight. even the dress, these folds are in flight. It is all of this stuff, kind of like looking up, looking beyond what we've seen, moving beyond what has trapped us, because so many times our beliefs, our programming, our insistence that this is the way it is keeping us from lifting off or seeing something different or changing our minds. And we are in a time where we need to allow our minds to be changed by allowing new things in. You know, this idea of all of this cosmic energy coming in, the spaceship, perhaps this is a place like if this, the mind here being changed, being lifted by light, by joy, by the idea that I can do things that don't necessarily have to be done in the way they were or through the same beliefs, and just like raise that energy, your vibration, your sight, that you have the foresight. Because remember, as we move into 2020, that is about vision, 2020 vision. It's about their foresight, being able to see more than we've seen, to be able to see more clearly. And what better way to do it than to kind of raise ourselves above what we've seen, climb up that mountain, look into the shadow, look into the light, see the things that are maybe have not been obvious to us, that need to be exposed, need to be brought into the open. And then card number 3 is number 3. So that's fascinating, because we started off with the number 4, then we went to the light, and then here we have this card that has both red and yellow and green and blue. So really beautiful. So I just love this card because it's such a card of joy to me. It's like this idea of swimming up to the light, swimming up to this idea of what will empower us, what will give us the courage, the strength of mind, the connection to our divinity that will make us go to more creative places, to explore in the creative. And this is all kind of like a watery field. It's like what's available to us, what's available to us through this creative fire, the fire of the rose, the connecting up, the letting ourselves see the magic that we might not have seen. For instance, the unicorn, or that touch of the divine, that hand that creates, bringing this whole energy into our being. And that is so immensely important when we consider the year that we're in. 2012 is a 3-year. 2 plus 1 plus 3 makes 12. 2019, I mean, not 2012. 2019, 2 plus 1 plus 9, that makes 12, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So we're in a 3-year, and we're in a 12 calendar month. So we're duplicating the 12s, because we're 12 of the year in the final month, which is amazing, right? And then we have this 3 here for this card talking about this month. And this month, because it's a 15-6 month, it's about emotion. 3 and 6 and 9 are the emotional, the loving numbers, the way we find our way to the light, to kind of seeing beyond what's been hidden, to kind of fly up and bring light in, and make light of life, right? Like seeing the light, putting the light out there, looking at what there is, so we have a different perspective. Is through our emotions, through love, through loving ourselves, which I consider the 3 is the self-love number. That's how do we love ourselves? By not only being compassionate, but also doing things, creative things that allow us to express ourselves. You know, acknowledging our voices and letting us express ourselves instead of shutting ourselves down. And there are many ways to do that. 6 is the number of family. It's about responsibility, but it isn't about taking responsibility that we don't want to. And I mean that really does not resonate for us. It's about taking responsibility for ourselves, for the emotions we feel, for the intuitive hits we're getting, and acting on that. I will do this, I won't do that. Or I'll do this because I know it's going to lead me where I want to go. and doing the things we want to do or that we are doing with joy, with immense, immense joy, because that's how we are of service as opposed to being in servitude. When we're doing it because we're supposed to or look good, then we are enslaved to the idea. So this card is talking about releasing that, how we learn and change and grow and increase our wisdom is through taking action, learning. 12 is a very powerful karmic number of endings. We have 12 in our time, we have 12 in our astrology, the houses. We even talk about selling things by the dozen. So it's a measurement, it's a way of, 12 hours in a day, etc. 12 is the top of the clock, so it's very powerful in our world. And so when we begin to understand that through the 12, we get to express joy and we get to break through the silence and break through old habits, then we are empowered by our creativity and our connection to the divine. So that's kind of what's the energy of the month, is to think about this idea of looking beyond the obvious, looking into what is created, the land, the structure, the buildings, the things we consider precious or maybe we consider worthless because they're decayed. And we want to bring that fire, that passion, that energy into it so we can open our minds, look into the dark, look into the light, like bring light into the place, bring that sense of levity into what we're doing so we don't take ourselves so seriously that we miss opportunities. It is through laughter, through joy, through connection that we start to go, wow, I didn't know I could do this. Have a conversation with someone who tells you about something. All that happens here when we're looking at the bigger field. And to that purpose, we fly up, we fly in the face of what we're told we cannot do. We fly up above what is stopping us. We go beyond the obstacle or the blinkered vision to see something bigger, brighter, bolder, that will allow us to take flight, use our voices to create, to speak, to express and expand and go, yeah, this is my truth. This is who I am. That's the ultimate journey. And so we're preparing for the great January where we have all this energy coming in that's changing our collective environment, our way of looking at the world, the structure of how business is run and money is dispensed and value we put on those things that others have told us needs to be a certain way. And that's starting to crumble. So we're really being pushed into a new energy. And this is this idea of letting go, like allowing ourselves to lift up, to raise our minds into this energy where we can create something very different and have an extremely different experience because we're opening our heart to traveling on this road we have not traveled. This idea of being connected to the wonder, the joy, the possibility, the creativity, because we are here to create, to express, and we are being encoded and coding the new reality. And so the only way we can do that is, well, we can do it any way we want to, but if we really want something joyful, then we have to be joyful when we create it, or it's going to be filled with whatever we put in, right? What we are creating is going to be filled with the energy we bring to it. So if we think of it as something as heavy and hard, something that's painful and that only some people win, we are putting that in the recipe, into the cooking, and we're going to eat that at some point. So let's bring in light, let's bring in the joy of creation, knowing that, yeah, I can have joy and it's available to me. And that's the way it is. I'm part of the creation. And so I'm going to bring in the energy I want to feel while I'm creating. Right? So lots to think about. This is a great month to sit with what it is you want to ignite and bring forward. Pull your energy away from the ideas of what's distracting you or what's annoying you, what's infuriating you, pull it away from that and put it towards where you want to go. Like, what are you creating? What are you building? What are you making? And what is this joyful thing you can have and experience, even though shitty things may be happening around you? It's like you're just moving towards something else. So what is it that's going to take you there? We have some immense opportunity this month to take a shift and connect to the light within us and the divine outward and the earth. Those are very, very powerful months. So really take the time to sit with that and create. Don't just sit, create while you're sitting. Let that thought come through your hands and your voice and your expressions. And what are you making? As if you're cooking up this brand new experience for yourself. Let me know what you see in the cards. I'd love to get your response. Please like and subscribe if you are interested in more. And click the bell if you want to be notified of the next reading. And have an amazing end of year. I do offer readings, Akashic readings, card readings. I also sell the cards at Duchene.com/Illuminating Journey Cards. So you can have a reading for yourself at Duchene.com. And that'll all be in the notifications below the video. So have an amazing last month of the year, last month of the decade.